in anticipation that this meeting would not be recorded because there have been some audio difficulties in recording such. So for those that would have preferred that, our apologies. We made a decision not to include it, but we will do so in the future. Want to start by welcoming Robert, who is, to us anyways, the new interim town administrator, but new is wearing off quickly because it's been a while. Robert, we know you, of course. You may not know everyone, although you just took a minute to introduce yourself. But just to go around one more time, do you mind introducing yourself to Robert?
Jeff Wenzel, good to see you again.
Dave Bloom.
Tony Dominic.
Mark Love?
Jeremy Richard.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to meet all of you. I appreciate the warm welcome.
Yep, thank you for being here, and we're looking forward to working with you, or you'll be here more than maybe you care to. So,
Thank you.
but welcome.
Thank you.
Also want to acknowledge Select Board Member Julie Pinchatori, who is the Select Board Finance Committee Liaison, and she's joined us as well. We have a few guests, and we'll wait until they go to the podium to introduce those. So there's a meeting agenda that is shown to you on the screen. And I think we'll start with, having just done number one, we'll start with number two, which is the review of the meeting minutes of our last meeting, which was held on July 14th, which Jeff, our committee clerk, has sent out to everybody. And the question is, be happy to put discussion before the motion, but is there a discussion by anybody? Is there a motion?
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. The minutes are approved. The next 2 hours we'll spend on the year-end transfer that has been sent to us, which I personally think is going to need, Pam, for you to come forward, or if you have a mic right where you're sitting, to kind of describe for us what has happened. Now, this is not the reserve fund request, this is the correction.
Sure.
So,
Is that this one?
yes.
There's a correction on just on number 4. Hello, FinCom, Pam Schoenevert from the library. So we had a one-time,
This one. I'm sorry.
There's actually 3 of
This is
them.
the latest one I got. No?
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
thank you. We had a one-time transfer to purchase computer equipment back in FY '25. When Larissa and I were looking at the disproportionate worksheet, and I was doing my financial report for the state, we were both concerned that that influx of the $3,000+ would change our MAR. So initially, when I did this form, that's how I did it. It was so I wouldn't affect the MAR moving forward. Once I got further into the report and talked to the MBLC directly, they said, no, a one-time appropriation does not affect the MAR. However, I would still like to put this money back from we got it from the insurance fund into library equipment. I found alternate funding through a donation, so I'm putting it back to the town.
So which is easy enough for us to say, vote approval, putting money back.
Right.
But let me try to make sure I paint the picture, because I want to make sure we're inside a timeline. Back on May 8th, the request out of the health insurance account into your equipment account for $3,323 was approved.
Correct.
However, 2 weeks later, an internal and by the way, that approval, that year-end transfer has to be approved by the Finance Committee and the Select Board, and it was. Then 3 weeks later, there was an internal transfer initiated by the town administrator at that time that does not require Finance Committee or Select Board approval. So it went in there essentially twice on paper, whether it actually occurred or not, but it went through twice.
So to my knowledge and working with Larissa, we're not aware that it went through twice. We're just trying to put it
Yeah.
back, give it back.
So now the question of the transfer of putting it back, when you make a year-end transfer, you have from May 1st till July 15th to do it, and it was done within that period. Now, 10 weeks later, we're correcting it, which
Right.
is the right thing to do, but my question is, are we outside the time period where a correction can be made? That's the question.
And I don't have that answer.
So maybe the motion is to approve it contingent upon making sure, we're trying to dot our T and cross our, do I have that right?
Gosh, you're teasing.
Yeah, dot
All right.
our I and cross our T, but I don't want to create a worse problem for having violated the timeline.
Well,
That's
the
my only
accountant,
concern.
yeah, the accountant is the one to set, she said she could do a journal entry, then she said, well, no, wait a minute, we should go through the process. So this came from her that we should do it this way, so I'm thinking she would know that timeline. So hopefully that's correct. She's not here tonight. What she did help me, she's the one who, I worked with her on this, so
Yep.
she's aware of the timeline. So I think you should be fine, but I understand what you're.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm comfortable I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am too.
No, I am
Yeah,
too.
okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable approving this, and if it needs to be looked into as far as the timeline, but I don't know, I mean, it's this negligible.
There's no harm in including that wording in there, just
I
contingent.
would never advocate not approving it. I would just like a little footnote.
Yeah.
Can you off record, make sure that we're compliant? That's all.
What would happen if it wasn't compliant?
I think we might come back here to
Undo it.
correct the correction to undo the correction,
Okay.
so.
I'm trusting the accountant, I guess, on this
Yeah.
one, so, yeah.
So I'll go ahead and move, if you would be open to moving this transfer.
Second.
Yep. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstention? None. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you want to stay there? Now you have a reserve
We're
fund
skipping ahead. I'd
uh,
love to.
transfer,
This one's not as fun.
which is for $2,300.
Correct. For FY '26. So the reason I'm requesting this is the trustees have tasked me with being here to request this money so we meet the MAR. So the MAR is the minimum, it's the minimum appropriation requirement required to be part of the state aid certified library program from the MBLC. So the amount we need, the budget needs to be is 2.5% increase over an average of the last 3 years. So that amount is $2,710. So there's a shortage of $2,300 because our budget's at $204,410. So in order to not have to apply for a waiver and lose part of our state aid if the waiver is granted, we're asking for the reserve fund transfer. If it is denied, I do have to do a waiver. If we get the waiver, we won't know till February. There's a limited number of waivers, and if they say yes, I still get a 12% hit to my state aid grant. And then it starts the clock on, we can only get 5 in a row. That's the new MBLC rule. This is a Mass General law that towns are required to fund at this level. That's the minimum funding. So if we don't get it, I have to submit that by October 3rd. I have to tell them I'm applying for a waiver, and then the accountant needs to fill out and send in the disproportionate cut worksheet showing that is not disproportionate. We know it's not, but she still has to do that work. Send in that paperwork, and an official from the town, so someone from Select Board and/or Finance, has to write a letter to the MBLC describing the official budget process and what led to the town's inability to meet the MAR. This is their language that they use. I also have to do a letter with the trustee chair that hopefully matches the budget process of why we didn't meet the 2026 MAR, which is the minimum funding. And then the town also has to supply the entire budget books for FY25 and FY26, every page of those documents, whether it's physical or digital, there's no preference. And then they do decide on the waiver they started it in January. So we'd have to do that by November 7th. So that is the process of not having the minimum
Yep.
appropriation.
So the last sentence of the reason for the request is pretty compelling. The 2,300 ensures the town is certified by the state without a MAR waiver application. So these questions, and let me preface the questions by saying that the questions are not in opposition to your request. They're to get information out there. There was a time that I thought, when we were going through the budget a year ago, and the library was initially subject to an excessive cut. And we walked that back so that, to your credit, you were here, library representatives were here, the finance committee got it, to walk it back so that the library would not be unusually harmed by a particular cut.
Correct. So you made sure there was no disproportionate cut. However, this current budget still doesn't meet the minimum required by the state.
So my next question is, on the occasion of the override, the library got an additional $33,000.
Correct.
When I thought we were already okay, and now I'm thinking, are we even more okay with the 33,000? And you're saying, no.
It's still short. So while I totally appreciate all of the work that went in to reinstate what was cut, the 16.76% that was cut from the library budget, it is still short of the MAR, which had been approved in April. So while I do want to appreciate the fact that everybody did that, but when it comes down to it, when I'm filling out this form for the state, if it's $1 less than the 206,710, we have to do a waiver. They are strict to the dollar amount. So it is still short. I wasn't involved in what amount was put on the override. I wasn't asked that number. I would have given them, it would have included this $2,300.
How much were you short by?
$2,300.
So just, if I may, just
Yeah,
a quick
go
clarifying
ahead.
question. So
Yes.
if I'm hearing this right,
Yeah.
even with the additional override funds, you are still 2,300.
Correct,
Got
because
it.
it wasn't the right amount, but I
No,
wasn't
that's okay.
involved
I
in
just
that,
wanna- yeah.
unfortunately. It's,
Well, it's not on the town meeting floor, so that, yeah,
Right.
yeah, okay. That's really what I want. No, and another question, do we know how much we have in the reserve fund right now?
Right now,
Yeah.
we got 100%. We got 50,000, and the override gave us another $250.
So
So we have
50,000.
50,250. It starts July 1st. So, and there's two sides to that 50,250. One is we basically spend about half of that, maybe a little more than half. So in that regard, there's room for it. The other sign is the budgets are so tight and we never know what's gonna happen. We always wanna have it in our back pocket. But it's hard to say no and keep it in your back pocket, and then on June 30th, you haven't spent it. So it's a little bit of a roll of the dice. But I don't want the takeaway to be that anybody on the finance committee wants you to have to submit a waiver application or wants you to be decertified. We're not there. We're just asking good finance committee questions.
I totally appreciate that, and then it's just so close that it's challenging, and I know you don't know what's gonna happen in the next year and what you do need the reserve fund for. I just need to know by October 3rd and then November
And that
7th.
2,300 has to come from town funds, not a donation, right?
Correct.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd be all set, but it has to be town appropriated, which at this point can only mean the reserve fund, because we don't know when the town meeting is, and it would be after both deadlines, as far as I know. I don't think anything's happening before November 7th.
Otherwise, we'd ask you how successful the Blooms and Books session was, but it's got to come from the
It
town.
has to come
Yeah.
from the town.
Blooms
Julie.
and bucks.
Sorry.
Julia?
Yeah, I just, is this done, is this amount after it's been, after the disproportionate worksheet was recalculated with the override money included?
So the disproportionate worksheet is different than the report I'm filling out right now.
Yeah.
So it's the financial report, and it does the math for you, and it tells me I'm short $2,300. However, if we have to do the waiver, we have to fill in the disproportionate worksheet. Larissa, the accountant, has been nice enough to do at least, so I think she's on her 4th version of it. But we did run it to make sure, with and without, it's not disproportionate. However, once you start that waiver process, you're going down a cycle where you're cutting our state aid grant by 12%. Then the second year, if it happens again, there's even more work for everybody, and you're starting if you start down a 5-year cycle, you could lose your certification before that in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they could say no. We could ask for a waiver, and they could say, no, sorry, you've already done this 10 years ago. You did it 5 times in a row.
So this essentially gets you to a place where you don't have to submit a waiver at all.
Correct.
And so the disproportionate worksheet doesn't even come into play.
Correct.
Got it. And so the amount is just purely based on required funding percentage from the town.
Right. Yeah. What the state in MGL says is the minimum requirement that every town should be funding their town library at.
Okay.
This is across the board the
Yeah.
2.5 above the average of the last 3 years.
Which is certainly a calculation that would be maybe unknown to somebody who wasn't deeply involved.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's just an unfortunate, the intent was to make it whole, I'm assuming. But without talking to me or having that direct information, which on the town meeting floor, things are happening, and I
Yeah.
was sitting there, but it was a lot at once. I should have done the math while they were doing it, but I'm not a town resident either, so.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I would be interested in entertaining a motion to approve this transfer of 2,300.
You would be interested in making a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a
I'd
motion.
be interested in that
Yeah,
too.
make it.
So a motion's been made,
I'll second that.
second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pam.
Make everyone's life a lot easier.
Thank you for the details. It's good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate that.
You're well. I do try. I know it's a lot, and I do it in my head all the time. So I just try to keep saying it over and over, and I'm glad people are understanding where we are. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
So, members, again, I apologize for the emails that were sent to you, but I believe number 9 or 10 is the reserve fund history for the last 10 years. And then also the capital depreciation fund and the stabilization fund. And you can see that that which was sent right there, if you go to the 26 column, it's pretty open. And we just took 2,300 of it.
Yeah.
We're good? Good. So the next item on the the agenda is sent you also an update that the Wachusett Regional School District was the beneficiary of additional funds from the Commonwealth of Mass, Chapter 70 funds totaling $501,000. There was a rumor that it was going to be 500 some odd thousand, and others were hoping it would be, like myself, it was going to be 700,000, but it was 500,000. I know you're not doing this, but just to prevent everybody from leaping to the fact that all of that comes to the town of Paxton, it's generally safe to determine that 10% of it is, for those that want to do the calculation on the back of a napkin. The addendums that I did send to you indicated that our assessment from them will be reduced by $46,528. Now, that money doesn't get wired to us or deposited, direct deposited. It just reduces the amount of the assessments that are scheduled to be paid to the Wachusett Regional. And at the end of the year, the amount of the assessment up against what has been budgeted would leave $46,000, which from May 1st to July 15th can be moved around at the end of the year, but nothing can be done with it until that time. So, still a good story. The other good story is they voted to allocate 100% back to the towns. And the fact that Holden got $23 million from the city of Worcester and got the largest portion of this 500,000 didn't come into play. It's the way the formula works, and our percentage is roughly below, a little bit below 10%. So I think a good story. Doesn't cure all the budget issues that are still pending, but it's nicer to have it go this way than the other way. So happy to entertain any any thoughts or comments, which there doesn't have to be. I just wanted to keep you informed. I got a copy of it. I'm not sure how or why I was on the distribution list, but I was, and you got it. So that's it. The other item on the agenda, if you look at number 6, is the override, which we all know has now successfully passed, and $550,100 is being allocated to 23 or 28 different departments. Robert, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I think that allocation is in process with all the departments.
That's
For them
correct.
to submit to you or the town accountant where they want the money that they were the beneficiary of the override, and would ask that when that's done, that we get a copy of it, so that would align to the budget that we did approve,
Yep.
which is now changed by the override that was approved.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable request, and the revised budgets are going to the town accountant, so I can get those for you when it's completed.
Yep. Yeah, just want to let you do your work and the town accountant do theirs, and the treasurer and collector do theirs, but at some point would like to be in the loop in terms of what finally got happened.
Okay.
Julia, do you have another question?
No, sorry, I was just adjusting my glasses.
Yep. Okay. The next item, again, Robert, our habit is not to put the town administrator on the spot, but there's a lot of talk about a special town meeting in the fall. I don't believe a date was determined as of yet.
Correct.
Can you narrow it down? Is it in October or November?
Right now, we're currently looking at December 1st as a likely,
So it could be as late as December.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but that has not been finalized, so we're still trying to see what lines up for everyone's availability, and also the necessary steps with MBTA and free cash to make sure that everything is in line for that special town meeting.
So we don't make the agenda, but just for those that aren't even aware that that's in the works or could be out there, one of the major issues to schedule it is there's an MBTA requirement that has a December 31st deadline.
Correct.
So whether it's October, November, or December, it certainly has to be done before December 31st. And free cash will be certified sometime late to early to late October, and
Correct.
that would be a warrant article as well. So those would come back to the Finance Committee for approval as warrant articles. And I know it's a work in process right now, but for those that aren't even aware that it's a work in process, that's why we put it on the agenda, to just put it out there. I think the Select Board has done the same, and
Yes.
we're just piggybacking on that.
Okay.
Is there anything else to ask or add regarding that? No?
I just have another general topic, not necessarily the town meeting. I just was thinking about tornado expenses.
That's coming up
Oh.
under new business,
Okay, never mind.
all right? Good question. The other is number 8, I think in the role as chair, I've been asked to go before the select board to give a finance committee update. And that's tentatively scheduled for the 22nd. And I think the meeting agenda will be posted tomorrow. And I want to chat about it tonight so that if we are going to be included, that I can get that information to Donna Parsons tomorrow. I hesitate to go because I hate to give a report on an entire committee. And to some extent, there's not a lot to update. Because we met once since the fiscal year ended to talk about reorganization. And then this evening is a relatively light agenda as well. However, I think sending regrets would be the wrong message as well. So I'm trying to get some consensus that you're okay. Maybe others of you can join that same evening, so that while I may be presenting some remarks, others in the audience would be available to
Yeah.
correct what I said or
next week?
add to it. But I think as you recall, all the other committees and departments, recreation and library and COA, they all go, and there shouldn't really be a good reason that we don't go, but I'm just preparing the select board. I don't think I have anything compelling to say. So with your blessing, we'll accept the invitation, and I'll be there Monday evening.
Yeah.
And
I should-
hopefully you guys can
I should be able to.
can join as well.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I was already.
Number 9 is, I'm not going to ask you to I'm going to say throw it up, but I don't, when I say throw it up, I don't mean throw up. I mean throw it up on the board. We, I think, have sent my final version of that to-do list. I sent it to you as the last email today. I don't think we're in a position, it's not on our agenda per se. Right. To put it up and talk about it, what I do want to do is not ever not talk about it, is really the point. I think at some point, and it happens to be identified as Finance Committee to-do items that were generated as a result of our going through the FY26 budget deliberations. And there's 21 items, and I think at some point, in my personal estimation, half of these directly affect the budget, half of them indirectly affect the budget. So September 17th may not be the evening to talk about it, but I don't want it to collect dust and die of its own weight. So you have it. Hopefully you can print it out and bring it on occasion, because maybe when, in the course of a meeting, we could say, hey, let's talk about number 9 this evening. It's germane to the conversation. It was on our to-do list. Right now, I don't know that it's ready for public consumption. At some point, I personally think it should be, but I would like you, as a committee, to have the benefit of editing it or somehow offering a correction or an addition or another way of saying the same thing. So just that it's out there. So now, under new business, you were also sent a communication that we received from the fire chief, having to do with the events of the tornado a short week ago, and in exchanging those emails and acknowledging receipt of them, made the offer for the chief to come forward, and he's here this evening, and with your blessing, Chief, why don't you come up and bring us up to speed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
I don't want to steal your presentation, Chief, but I think it's safe to preface it by applauding the police, fire, DPW, Paxton Municipal Light Department for their exemplary quick response. We're happy that there were no injuries or worse than that, because it could have been worse than that. But with that, you know more than us, so why don't you share with us, Mike?
All right. Well, thank you for inviting me tonight, just to kind of give you guys an update. Yeah, I sent you a letter back on Thursday, Mark, as I was totaling everything up. And the events of September 6th, the tornado that struck Paxton, it was an extraordinary effort by all the departments involved. DPW, Light Department, Fire, Police, and Mutual Aid, Rutland Police Department, Rutland Fire Department, and the Leicester Fire Department really came together and worked quite well. I'm proud of everybody that helped and helped to take care of everybody involved. The good news out of this, if it had to happen, there were no injuries, no fatalities. It happened at 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. So luckily, everybody was up and about, and everybody got hopefully got the tornado warnings on their phones. I think everybody's phone went off around the same time. In the middle of that severe line of storms we got. So that was, if there was a silver lining to it, that was it. But with that, I just wanted to kind of inform you guys moving forward. After it was all said and done, that Monday, the 8th, I did have a conference call with Senator Peter Durant. Kind of gave him the rundown real quick as to what we were looking at for potential damages. Most of it was on private property, which is not good for the property owners, but in the grand scheme of things for the town, it somewhat limits the town's exposure and removal of debris and damage. However, I did come up with some costs, and I shared those with you guys tonight from the departments. Right now, the DPW's an estimate. It actually could go up a little bit more than that. They're finalizing all their stuff this week to get to me so I can submit it to Senator Durant's office and Representative Ferguson's office, who told me they would push to get it through the State House at the end of year budget for the end of year earmarks. Now, with that said, it's not a guarantee. It's still got to go to the legislature, so they'll have to vote and stuff on the earmark itself. But the rough numbers you can see, DPW is around $12,500 for expenses incurred. Paxton Municipal Light Department's around $12,070. Fire was $3,600 in payroll and some damage to saws. Police was about $2,000 that evening and the next day for details. So all those were obviously unexpected expenses. That totals somewhere around the vicinity of $30,000. The one that's missing off of here is the building department. The building commissioner had to come out that night and help us clear homes, make sure they were structurally sound, and assess the damage. That was around $200 right now. That I expect to go up as work gets completed, and he's got to go back out and do other inspections. So that's kind of a misnomer right at the moment. So I'm thinking probably somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 on that, and I'll confer with the town services coordinator this week. So overall, the cost to the budget, you can see there's two columns: the cost incurred, cost to the budget. Cost to the budget does not include the Paxton Municipal Light Department, just because it's run by a separate board of commissioners, and it has its own budget to deal with some of the stuff. However, that will go to the State House, hopefully for reimbursement on their end, so they're not battling their own budget and the ratepayers at the end of and it doesn't affect the ratepayers at the end of their fiscal year. But so far, right now, the cost to the budget is $18,100, and, just as we had talked, the override did pass, but these costs are never a thought when we do our budgets, right? We do our budgets on a, like, I like to call it a sunny day budget. We try to budget for the best-case scenario to limit the expenses to the townspeople and the taxpayers paying our bills. So this $18,100 is really an unexpected expense. So we're not looking for anything right now from the finance or reserve, but I just kind of wanted to inform you guys that at some point, if for some reason we don't get some reimbursement from the state, that at the end of the year, the department says they come through with reserves, reserve transfers, they may need, you know, this is, keep this in the back of your mind, because they may need to refer back to these expenses incurred due to the storm. And like I said in my letter to you, Mark, it was, you know, it's very early in the budget season as well. We haven't even hit the winter. So, you know, we've got some weather struggles coming up in front of us. We've got another dry fall coming ahead, as, you know, unfortunately predicted. And then we don't know what the winter months are going to bring for as far as the DPW is concerned with snow and ice removal. So hopefully it's a little wetter, so we don't have a dry spring, but that's where we're at. So any questions?
So Mike, what's the earliest and what's the latest that you would hear from the state?
Well, the earliest, I'm not, I think the state's fiscal year runs September 30th, so ends September 30th, starts October 1st. So I'm not sure as far as the earliest we'll hear. Hopefully by the end of this month would be nice to know if we're going to get something. But the way the state's been working with a lot of the grants and everything, they've been holding on to those numbers, as we can kind of see with the school numbers, and getting back to us a little later. So I'm hoping by, you know, the start of 2026, January 1st, that we'll know for sure what's going to happen with that. And where this was such a localized issue, that the threshold for, you know, emergency declarations just weren't met at the state and federal level. These tornadoes, the series of tornadoes that came through, all from the same thunderstorm, the same cell that affected Paxton, Holden, and then again Berlin and Stowe. Paxton and Holden, from what I understand, took more of the brunt in residential areas, whereas Stowe and Berlin actually took it more in forested lands, and they incurred a little more in town property as far as streets and everything, but we'll see how it all plays out.
So Mike, the last question, and unfortunately the viewers or others don't have benefit of your
Yep.
slide here, but the cost, the estimated cost to the town budget is $18,000.
Yep.
Which excludes the Paxton Municipal Light Department.
Mm-hmm.
But what if the state award was $18,000? Would you allocate it to the proportionally to the four, or would the town?
We'd have to discuss that with the light commissioners and see how they wanted to take that on, yeah. I don't have an absolute answer as far as Paxton Municipal Light. That's why I'm kind of hoping the state does pick up the tab and make that $30,000 whole.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
It's not a big ask.
No, no, I don't think so. And, you know, as the estimates came in from the department, I was kind of shocked it was so low.
Yeah.
The amount of work that had happened Saturday, Sunday. Light department, I know, has been back out. The one house on Richards Ave that really took the walloping, I think they just got power back today. So,
I think the private residents who have engaged private tree service companies have got a budget of about $30,000.
at least, and my rough estimate in touring the damaged homes, the land, pools, pool houses that were crushed, I tell you that it's in excess of $750,000 at least, if not pushing over $1 million in damage. And it stretches quite a ways. The National Weather Service, I think, was a bit conservative. It started, I would tell you, on the other side of Pleasant Street, over by the Legion, up Davis Hill. A few houses and properties on Davis Hill got affected. And
Which one specifically?
well, it wasn't your personal home.
It was not.
But yeah, there was a few few damaged houses on that way and
Yeah.
up over through Arrowhead, and then Richards Ave, Mountain View, and Crocker Hill took the brunt of it. And right behind, between Richards Ave and Grove Street, I was informed there was about 50 trees down, so, in between Mount View and Grove Street from the storm, so.
I know the South Road, was the damage less?
Kinda say that.
South Road, as far as I know, on the Holden side, took a lot of tree damage. I'm not sure as far as houses are concerned.
Yeah.
I know the Twin Brook neighborhood in Holden took a lot of house damage on the Bailey Road side, so it kind of,
Yep.
if you're familiar with it, just
Yep.
rolled over the hill, down the hill. That beautiful big farmhouse on South Road has the pond in the yard. They lost all their trees around the pond. And then it kind of went back down over through the reservoir, and if you drive along the reservoir and the back way through Bailey Road, you can see a lot of trees down. In conferring with the Holden Fire Chief that afternoon, most of their damage was in the Twin Brook neighborhood in Bailey Road.
Just a fun fact, Mike, what would you estimate this rough location of this Paxton tornado, the difference in, from the 79 tornado?
So, talking to a few people that were around in the 79 tornado, we're about, the path was probably about 1,000 feet off from the 79 tornado, so, yep.
So that equates to the 79 was in the back of my house, and this one was at the front of my house. It's already 1,000 feet.
We have our own tornado alley, huh?
We do.
Yeah,
Stay away.
yeah, we
Look
do.
out. Look out.
And we aren't, we aren't strangers, so just a quick
Yeah.
history, now that you got me on it. So the 53 tornado, the Worcester tornado, went through the northeast section of town, which is the Pine Hill Reservoir in that area, and then from Petersham to Hopkinton. And then the 79 tornado that, my understanding, killed two Boy Scout
Treasure Valley.
campers at Treasure Valley and went through the Davis Hill, Richards Ave neighborhood, but 1,000 feet to the north. So, a little closer down your end, but.
Yeah, I'm grateful that it went across Richard Ave and not down Richards Ave. So, but congratulations to the responders, and our
Yeah, great job.
sympathies go
That's-
out to the residents.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Absolutely.
Great job. Thank you, Mike.
No problem.
Thank you.
Is there any further old business or new business?
None here.
Any comments from the public? Last call, Julia, Pam, Robert? No? Is there another motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Abstentions, none. We're adjourned. Thank you.
7:48. Thank you all.
Not bad.
Not bad.